in Nebraska is now closing because of Donald Trump's slashes to Medicaid.
How this is affecting my state, where the majority voted for this. Here's how these proposed budget reconciliation, I will not call it by that other freaking name, would likely impact healthcare in Nebraska.
Nebraska clinic closes. Yeah, a clinic has already closed, knowing full well of what is coming with the big bad Republican bill.
And it begins. A rural hospital in Nebraska closed, citing the upcoming bill that's going to cut health care for millions. And guess who won Nebraska in the 2024 election? Trump. So it's already hurting his supporters. It's like watching cows lining up to go to the slaughterhouse and them applauding it. Like, bro, make it make sense. Hey, Nebraska, you need a tissue for your issues? Hey, Nebraska, save the drama for your mama. What happened, Nebraska? Did voting for Trump ruin your economy? Oh, that's weird. That's so weird. It's kind of like we told you so, right? Oh, I love this. I like to stick it in your face and rub it in.
What's up, guys? I swear Nebraska is the poster child for fuck around and find out. Their first FAFO moment was when their farm workers were deported by ICE because they thought it wasn't going to happen to them. I mean, they voted for Trump, but they didn't think that they were going to come and deport their workers. And ICE is like, no, anyone that's brown, we're just going to deport them because whatever. So then, Nebraskan farms are like, wait, no, we need those people, otherwise our farms are going to go bankrupt. And they're like, don't really care. So their second FAFO moment came today as soon as the House bill passed and Curtis Medical Center in Curtis, Nebraska announced that it's closing. And there are 6 other rural hospitals that are planning to close with these Medicaid cuts. And if you know anything about emergency medicine, whether it's a heart attack or a stroke or a trauma, time is of the essence and distance is of the essence. So ultimately, yeah, people are going to die. And that's most likely going to be farmers, which are a huge group of Trump supporters. Now, don't get me wrong, the House of Representatives said, hey, we have a kitty. We're going to do a little bank to help rural hospitals. And what we're going to do is we're just going to tax state hospitals more. Well, that's not taxing the hospital. That's taxing the people that go to the hospital. So, in one hand, they're going, oh, we're giving, we voted for this bill because we're giving tax cuts to Nebraskans, but then we're going to raise your taxes, Nebraskans, when you go to the hospital or you receive any services, right? It's all good. But, that's for par for Nebraska, because in January they were operating with a budget shortfall of $400 million, and then they passed the budget, and now they're only going to operate at a deficit of $289 million. So, it's not like anyone can do math there or run their state very well. But they seem to think Republicans are great, doing a lot for them as they run their state into the ground. Keep doing what works for you, I guess. I don't know. Fuck.
I just tried to call my representative's office. It's Mike Flood from Nebraska. And it rang, and then they hung up. And then I called back, and it said it was busy. And so either it's actually busy, and everyone and their mother is calling him, or he's specifically avoiding my call, which I wouldn't doubt. But, yeah, this big, beautiful bill thing is literally going to bankrupt the state of Nebraska. And actually, Aaron Parnas just posted a video about how in rural Nebraska, a clinic has already closed, I think in anticipation of this passing. Because this state doesn't have the resources to go without what they're cutting in this bill. So, Nebraska, where it's done and over.
To go to the slaughterhouse and them applauding it. Like, bro, make it make sense. It's crazy because, as long as they think it's going to hurt the others, they're okay with it. Oh, what the... I'm lost for words.
Nebraska Nebraska girl, what's going on? So I wanted to be a little bit nosy, and I saw this news article that Nebraska, this one county in southwest Nebraska, is closing due to Medicaid cuts. It's located in McCook County, which is also part of Red Willow. Essentially, the CEO of the community hospital said, unfortunately, the current financial environment, driven by anticipated federal budget cuts to Medicaid, has made it impossible for us to continue operating all of our services, many of which have faced significant challenges for years. The Nebraska Hospital Association has been pushing back against the Medicaid cuts in the One Big Beautiful Bill as it's being considered in Congress. Mind you, Hakeem Jeffries is still currently debating this bill on the floor. Actually, not even debating yet. I think he's still in the middle of his miracle minute. So I decided to head over to Nebraska's general elections, website, because everything is public information. And I did a little bit of digging. This is for Red Willow / McCook, right? This is how many registered voters they had. This is for the November 5th, 2024 election. This is from their county website, right? Look at who won. Look at the first line. My head is right here. You see it. 83% of the population of that county voted for Trump and Vance. And now their local community hospital will have to shut down. I keep asking you guys, if he steals from you, are you ready to lay him out? Because Fox told you what's going on. 16 of the elected GOP officials told you guys what's going on. Do they want to pass? Absolutely not. Are they going to pass? Of course, because they're up his ass. Unless you could stop them. They're your elected officials. They work for you, right? You gonna lay down and take it? I mean, clearly you are. You already lost the hospital.
Today is going to go down as a truly sad day in American history. Trump's tax bill just passed, and I'm going to give an example of how this is already impacting communities, and specifically communities in red states that voted for Donald J. Trump. Now, let me explain. Curtis County, Nebraska is a one-hospital town. They've got one place for people to get their medical care, and yesterday, the CEO of the hospital said because the bill is passing, he will no longer be able to financially justify keeping its doors open. So people in that community no longer have access to healthcare in a close vicinity. It's really sad. And as much as I like saying FAFO, F around and find out, because this is a community in a county that supported Donald Trump 87% in the 2024 election, it really is sad because there are people that are no longer going to have access to the care that they need in a close proximity to where they live. This is just one of many areas that we expect to lose their hospitals and lose their healthcare facilities due to this bill. Some estimates say over 500 places could lose their hospitals and retirement homes, and I saw that about 6 are expected in Nebraska to close as well. This is a sad day for America, and we're going to continue to see the terrible impacts of this bill as time continues to pass on. But if you're into silver linings, there's $1 trillion in tax cuts for millionaires and billionaires. Absolutely disgraceful. Everyone who voted for this bill, you should be ashamed.
Nebraska Representative Don Bacon announced that he will not be seeking re-election. But then he turned around and supported Frumpet Dump's big, despicable disaster. Now, he defended the controversial bill in an interview, acknowledging concerns about the Medicaid changes while emphasizing what he sees as critical benefits for the middle-class American. Now, we all know because of the Medicaid cuts, many rural hospitals are uncertain about their future. And that is no more true than in Nebraska, his very own state. A rural hospital has already started the process of closing down because of their funding uncertainty. Curtis Medical Center announced that they will be closing their clinic. They have proudly served the Curtis community and surrounding areas for over 30 years, providing essential healthcare services to families, students, and individuals in this rural region. But the decision to close the facility was not made lightly and followed an extensive evaluation of financial sustainability and resource allocation. The president and CEO of the hospital said, unfortunately, the current financial environment driven by anticipated federal budget cuts to Medicaid has made it impossible for us to continue operating all of our services, many of which have faced significant financial challenges for years. Don Bacon was confronted about this hospital closing, and this is what he wrote. The hospital isn't closing because of this bill. That's silly. And the
Nebraska, and it's no surprise that Ricketts voted for Trump's god-awful, horribly dangerous bill. Senator Pete Ricketts used to be our governor here in Nebraska, and his family is extremely wealthy. They own TD Ameritrade, they own the Chicago Cubs, and he basically has bought off all the offices in Nebraska. How I've intersected with him is I'm a pediatrician. I've done a lot of public health, a lot of work. I've been a leader in child health advocacy. I was the governor appointed under him, chair of the Early Childhood Interagency Coordinating Council, that oversaw the NDE, so Nebraska Department of Ed, and the Nebraska DHHS. We had Head Start, and then all of the early childhood work that was happening, all the early childhood data. And so we were an advisory board, all governor appointed from across the state, and we would meet and create a biennial report. It's legislated that we're required to do this. It goes to the governor's office. We are to present all the data of amazing stuff happening, even during COVID, okay? So what happened was, he never met with me. He never met with our team. He never met with our council to go over the report, any of the early childhood data, during any part of my term serving on that council or as chair. He simply completely ignored any request we had to share our data, to share what was going on in early childhood in the state of Nebraska. He did absolutely nothing. He didn't communicate. He didn't respond to requests. And this was very unprecedented when the governors before in the past had met, and it was common practice that they, really took on early childhood and played a role even if they were Republican. Okay, so this guy does absolutely frickin' nothing, okay? It's a big deal for me to say this, okay, and to come out with this. So he does no work. He does nothing. He didn't appoint anybody while, during my term and while I served on that to the council. So we were just really kind of trickling down in numbers, and it was really sad. So now he's senator. Now he's just going to go along with Trump with this horrible bill. And why would anybody be surprised? But what you might be surprised at is that he does absolutely nothing. A lot of these legislators, a lot of these political leaders, they absolutely don't do their job. They don't do any work at all. They have no interest in anything at all that's happening to children in their state. And Medicaid being cut, don't care. They absolutely do not care about children, children's health. They only care about profiting themselves and building up their families.
Services that people need. A lot of folks that are hearing about this, though, are not showing empathy because, in many ways, Nebraska voted for this. And in that county specifically, they voted overwhelmingly for the person that is promoting the cuts that are happening right now. Unfortunately, this is another example of folks voting against their interests, folks that were expecting that their living conditions, their livelihood was going to improve, and the opposite is happening. And listen, y'all, I understand why a lot of folks don't have empathy, but I feel bad for these folks because the system that we're living in over and over again keeps hurting the folks that are the most marginalized. But those are my thoughts, familia. I want this to be a conversation. What do you all think about this? Do you agree with what I said? Or are you on the side that doesn't feel any empathy for these folks? And if you are somebody that lives in Nebraska, what do you think about this? This is crazy.
And it's happening because Republicans voted for this. Republicans did this to Americans. So you will struggle now. Millions of you will be without any health care. Millions of you will be without health care facilities to go to. You'll have to now drive out of your way some 40, 50, 60, 70 miles or more because these clinics are going to close because of the Medicaid payments. That's right. This is brought to you by Republicans. You have no one else to blame. Republicans are doing this, and clinics are starting to close already.
The big, beautiful bill has been passed, and now these are the results. So Nebraska State has literally come out and say people are going to be affected, especially healthcare. So one of the CEO in Nebraska has said that, CEO of a hospital, that he has to close the hospital down as a result of this big, beautiful bill that has been passed. Remember, Medicaid has been cut off the budget. So the rural police communities, you know, especially under the healthcare facilities that are serving people in the rural areas in Nebraska, they mostly are going to be affected. So remember, Nebraska state is literally a MAGA state, right? Majority, can I say 85% or over 85% of the people in Nebraska, they usually vote Republican. So can you imagine, this big beautiful bill has been passed and now is literally affecting the people who voted for this is affecting, you know, the community, or should I say people who voted for this administration that is in power right now in America. So it's really painful, it's really heartening, because people are going to, first of all, remember, people who work in those hospitals, they are going to lose jobs. That's one thing you need to remember. The nurses, the doctors and other specialists, they're going to lose their jobs. Then the other who are going to be affected are the community people, the people who live in those rural regions, the people who live in those areas. They will not be able to have access to health care that is nearby. So they'll be forced to, you know, to travel miles and miles away, you know, to be able to have access to doctors, have access to medicine, have access, you know, to healthcare facilities, which is very, very sad, especially in a country that is a superpower like America. We expect such things to happen, you know, in third world country, but not in a first world country like America. So now, who is to blame? Of course, is it the right decision? Will it affect the people? You know, as time goes by, people will know exactly what they voted for. But for now, it's like people are still living, you know, in those filters. They're like, no, we are still okay. We'll be fine. We'll be fine. But only as time goes by, people will know whether this bill, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? But for the meantime, so far, one CEO in Nebraska has said that he has to close down because now he has no justification whatsoever of keeping it open, because he is also not sure whether they're going to get any funding, because the big beautiful bill has already been passed. So this is the reason why when you're told, when you go to vote, please remember the repercussions. For each and every action you do, there's always an equal reaction to it. Karma is a bitch, and now the chicken have come home to roost. It's affecting Nebraska, and they're saying Nebraska state most likely, probably it's gonna go bankrupt in the next 6 months. So literally this state is 85% MAGA people, MAGA voters who voted for this current administration, and now they're literally crying. They're literally, you know, saying, no, we wish we can literally turn back clock of time and change the way we voted. But at the end of the day, you're always told as an adult, you know, before you vote, you need to literally, you know, do your research, know who you're voting for, vote for somebody who has your best interest at heart. And now this is what's happening, and literally it's really painful to see people literally crying and say, oh, they're going to lose their health insurance, they're going to lose their certain features that they used to get under Medicaid, so they'll not be able to access maybe some certain medicine at a cheaper price. They'll not be able to access certain doctors who are specialized in certain area because it's no longer being offered under the Medicaid because of the budget cuts. So this thing has literally affected so many people in Nebraska's community, and right now they're feeling it. What exactly is the impact? No one will know, as they'll only realize this as time goes by. But for now, so far, people, the CEO has literally come out and say, you know, this is what's going to happen to the community around that area. But majority of Nebraska people right now, they're kind of waking up to the reality of what they did. Let me know what you think about this video. Drop your comments and please subscribe to my channel.